I haven't offered reconciliation, but I have managed to extract the truth from her. I have gotten her to confess to the affair partner's girlfriend. I felt I could push the envelope much further. I walked outside to finish the call with my wife's affair partner's girlfriend. After finishing the call, I walked back in the house towards where my wife was sitting on the couch. She couldn't look towards my direction. She had stopped writing. I sat down and asked her what she wants to do with our relationship. She said she was sorry and that she was deceived by Kate and it was her fault, and she encouraged her and then betrayed her. I told her that it wasn't Kate's fault. She is an adult and should be able to make her own decision and keep her commitment. I asked her if Kate told her not to use protection during her affair. She responded that she used protection. Then I followed up with, "Why do you need birth control pills if you were using protection?" She looked confused when I mentioned the birth control pill. I asked her if she denies using birth control pill, and she wouldn't answer. She was face down and knows she has been caught. She's confused because she didn't know how I found out. I enjoy seeing her world crumble, especially when she doesn't know how I found out. She thought she kept her affair well hidden. She continued to mumble that she can fix everything. She said she will go no contact with the affair partner and Kate. I told her that I can't be in a relationship where I am constantly monitoring what she is doing. I asked her how I would know that she had gone no contact with Kate and the affair partner. And she pulled out her phone and texted the affair partner. She texted him something to the effect of, "My husband has found out about our relationship and your girlfriend now knows. Please do not call or contact me." She showed me the text before sending it. Then I asked her about Kate, and she told me that she needs to speak to Kate in person. I asked her why, and she wouldn't answer. Then I said, at least Kate was truthful enough to tell me her part in this. I acted as if Kate was my spy, and she had been spying on her. At the time, I didn't know the consequences of what I was fermenting. I was trying to play it off like it was Kate that exposed her, and I can see by the blank stare in my wife's eyes that she was angry with Kate. I wanted to create enmity between both of them for my pleasure as payback for what they have both put me through. On the voice recorder, she admitted to Kate that she indeed opened a Tinder account. So I asked her if she had any other account that I should know about, any secret account with any service. She said she did not. I asked her again if she was sure. Anything Tinder? She said she did not have Tinder, but I could see she was squirming. It's as if she could not acknowledge the truth. Tinder app was something she set up after her affair partner wasn't actually available to her. I remember that day. I was upstairs sleeping, and she snuck out of our bedroom and went downstairs to speak to her affair partner. She told him, and I quote, "I am unbelievably horny, and if we don't meet up, I am going to Tinder," as she said to affair partner. I told her to give me her phone, which she did. I went to the Tinder website and select login by phone. She stood behind me. I asked her, "Are you sure you have no account?" She looked uncomfortable. She squirmed and mumbled, "I don't think so." I followed up by saying, "You don't think so, or you don't know?" She replied that she doesn't know. I followed up by asking her, how could she not know if she has a Tinder account or not? She went silent. She couldn't answer the question. I asked her one more time, what if I find Tinder on her phone? She mumbled that she had nothing to hide. I replied that she said the same thing 2 hours ago. I had her phone in my hand. I started to enter her phone number. I kept looking at her as I was typing the number. She abruptly jumped and tried to grab the phone out of my hand. I just held it tighter and pushed her away, and she fell on the couch and tumbled on the floor really hard. I didn't expect her to fall that hard. I was tempted to check on her to see if she was okay, but I immediately composed myself and maintained frame. I told her that she had agreed to give me access to her phone, as I thought she had nothing to hide, and if that too was a lie as well. Instead of standing up, she tucked in on the floor and started sobbing. I didn't even care to look at her, so I continued. I went through her phone app, but I couldn't find it. I thought maybe there must be a way she was hiding it on her phone. I didn't give up because I was sure that I heard her on the voice-activated recorder confessing to having Tinder. So a thought came across my mind to search for Tinder on her browser, and there it was. Tinder, the popular dating site for hookups, the one she denied having a few minutes ago. The moment I typed T on her browser, the Tinder site URL dropped down as her favorite. I opened the site, but it didn't automatically log in. The username was present, but not the password. She was still tucked in, sitting on the floor, with her head between her knees. I called her by her name, and she looked up at me. I sat on the couch and showed her her phone by bringing it closer to her face, saying, "What is this?" She responded that she doesn't use it. I asked her if she doesn't use it, then why was a username there? And why was it saved as her favorite? She then changed her story, saying that she only used it once. I told her to log in, and she says she doesn't remember the password. I continued to try to gain access to the site. I submitted her number and got the access code and typed it in before I submitted it to log in. I asked her again, "Is this going to be bad?" And she said, "No, I don't use it." Perhaps she thought I wasn't going to log in. Then I gained access, and once again, she lied. On her Tinder profile, she had 26 Tinder matches and more than 41 unread messages. The last time she sent a message to someone was 3 days ago. She had used a pseudonym. On her profile photo, she had sunglasses and a hat on to disguise herself, but those who know her could tell it was her. I showed her the profile she created. Now she changed her story. Now she said she could explain. She said she opened it as a joke and forgotten all about it. I asked her if she thought I was born yesterday. I asked her if she took me for a fool. On her profile, she said she was married but looking for fun. I showed it to her and asked her what that make me, a cock? She replied that she was sorry and she just opened it for fun and didn't think nothing of it and haven't met anybody from there. I watched her as she was still unraveling, as the walls of lies she has built around herself crumble when I challenge her with the truth. It's been a nightmare trying to crawl out my way to the truth. She said that she understands that she cannot be trusted and doesn't know herself. She said she didn't understand what she was doing. I told her that she understood very well what she was doing. She apologized, and there were more words along the line of being ashamed, not knowing herself, and so on. She genuinely looked like she was struggling with what she did. She reiterated that she never met anyone on there, which couldn't be verified unless I read the messages. But what's the point? To me, opening a hookup dating app, while married, should be akin to hooking up with a stranger. And where there is smoke, there is fire. Moreover, I think there was evidence that messages have been deleted. I wish there was a way on Tinder to know if conversations have been deleted. Any data recovery possible at all? It started to look like we got to the limits of the day, but she continued to apologize and self-deprecate. But I need her to actually do something to provide clarity. She asked me what she needs to do to gain my trust back. I told her to first provide detailed timeline of all her affairs, and 2, she should pack an overnight bag because I'm not letting her stay in the same house with me. I told her that she can't stay in the house. She should pack her things and go and stay with her boyfriend or Kate. She begged me, telling me that I should forgive her and I should think about our kids and how it would disrupt their lives. I told her that she should have thought about that when she was having an affair. I told her that she has been thinking about replacing me and she doesn't desire me actually, and there is no need for us to live in the same house. She was on her knees, begging and crying. I knew she would continue to beg and hope that I forgive her till I went into the bedroom and calmly started packing her things for her. That was when she knew that I was serious. I almost lost control, but managed to stay cool and calm. She got the message and started packing her things by herself. I did not yell or lose my patience and allow her fantasy world to crumble under its own weight. It's too much to process right now. I have set some boundaries, and she has suggested some too, which we have refined. It wasn't even clear to her that the marriage is over, and we are going for a divorce. I have sent her away from the house, as I cannot trust her, and I think that really hit her hard. So I'm now alone in our house, and the silence is deafening. So much to digest and think about. But for now, a cup of tea and some rest is in order. I checked my recording to make sure I record it on my phone and on the voice-activated recorder. The following day, I planned on turning in all the evidence to my lawyer. In terms of serving papers, I'm definitely going to be starting the process ASAP. I should really have gotten the ball rolling sooner, but it's been so sudden, and it's hard to get my head together. It's the next step for sure though. STD test, I have already ordered mine. Up to her to get tested herself. Kids, yeah, the tough part. would be trying not to disrupt the lives of my kids because of their mother's infidelity. I kept them at my parents' house during the confrontation and shielded them from anything nasty. I would soon meet up with my wife to come up with some sort of arrangement to ensure their life stays as normal as possible, since the default path is divorce at the moment. I would be considering a polygraph test as well, something to explore the idea that there have been more infidelity in the past and more lies. Something for a lot further down the road though I am nervous as hell. I will try to remain calm and assertive. I think I'm tired from the week, but I don't really want to just sleep or something. Maybe I will mow the grass. So after work the following day, she dropped off the kids at the house from school. I'm still not allowing her to stay in the house, but I don't know how long this would carry on because it's becoming a burden to both of us since it's disrupting how we care for our children. She also took the opportunity to take some of her stuff and to talk with me some more. I don't wish to reconcile with my wayward wife, but I want to dangle the carrot so she would come clean on her infidelities, even though I think I have enough. That way, I can get all the information I need to ensure that I get an upper hand on the divorce settlement. In my heart, I will not reconcile with her, even if I want, because I know truly that she doesn't feel attracted to me. If she was willing to sneak out of my bed in the middle of the night to call another man for the sole purpose of soliciting physical affection from him, then I am not a viable ex-war option for her. And to make matters worse, when he refuses her, she threatened to go on tender, and she actually followed through with it. So yesterday, when I met my wife when I dropped off our kids at her mother's house, we talked, and she told me that she called Kate, and they got into a verbal altercation after she sent her an angry text, and she came over to her shop and caused a scene, and they got into a physical altercation, and they both are no longer friends. As strange as that sound, I was curious about what happened, and I was delighted at the same time. I asked her what happened, and she said that she sent a message telling her that she was no longer her friend. I told her to show me the text. She responded that she had deleted the text. I asked her why she deleted the text, and she said she just felt uncomfortable about it. I asked her if it was because she knew I was going to check her phone, and she said no. I would later find out why she deleted the messages. More on that later. Here is how the confrontation went down, according to what wayward wife told me. Mind you, I would later get an alternate version that contradicted her version. So here is how she described the confrontation. She said Kate came to the place of her business because she wasn't returning Kate's phone calls and messages. She told Kate that she no longer wanted to speak with her because she encouraged her affair. Kate replied that she just wanted her to be happy and that her husband is boring and she wanted her to be happy. She responded that she was enjoying her marriage till Kate came along and ruined everything. That supposedly annoyed Kate enough for Kate to physically assault her, and they got into a fight and had to be separated by strangers. I find her story very strange, but I was glad that it ended up the way it did. I would later find out that her version was window dressed to the extreme to make her out as the good guy. She had a therapy session today, and she suggested and set up under her own initiative. She allowed me to look through her phone and check whatever I need. She also let me to use her phone and computer whenever I want to. I have asked her to write a complete timeline of events, including details, location, and so on, as part of the open and honest boundary. I would see if she takes the request seriously or not, and she does appear to be acting, though there are still a lot of words that I can't really take too seriously. She has been reiterating how sorry she is, but it's hard to see that for what it's worth, when it could easily be regret that she's been caught. Despite all her effort to convince me that she's a changed person, I'm still going to get a divorce. However, what I'm really struggling with is how to tell my two oldest children, and the eldest is very emotionally sensitive. All my kids are doing so well. My wayward wife is a good mother, but a terrible wife, and I don't want them to pay for her mistakes or have our separation hurt their perspective of security. On Monday, I went to speak to wayward wife in the morning. She's still at her mother's house. The kids are going back and forth, and it's inconvenience and straining both me and my wife. This is not going to be easy. On Monday, I went to see the divorce lawyer after work. The divorce document has been finalized. All I need to do is to serve my wife. I was undecided about telling my 2 kids and kept flip-flopping. On one side, I want to explain what's happening. Our living arrangement has been disrupted, and older kids have been asking questions. I told my wayward wife to come up with something to tell them and to tell me what she's going to say. I told wayward wife to inform the school so that we can be sure that there are no behavioral changes or problem due to our separation. This will need to be done irrespective of the kids being told. I asked wayward wife if she had completed the timeline, and she had. It's a fairly dry recounting of the facts, but it's a start, and it can be refined. I told my wayward wife that I would be collecting the kids and that I would bring them to her mom's house to see them. I picked up the kids and went to see my wayward wife at her mom's house. When I arrived at the house with the kids, her mom wasn't home, but some of her relatives were there. My mission that day was to break the news to my wayward wife that we would be getting a divorce and serve her the paper. However, when I got there, I started getting cold feet. I was getting second thoughts about reconciliation. When I saw her, on the exterior, she was still the woman I fell in love with, but I had to remind myself of what I heard on the recording and where she and Kate were making fun of me. How she sneaked out of my bed to solicit intimacy from a stranger. When he denied her, she opened an account on Tinder to look for men. She and her affair partner made fun of me when she said intimacy with me is boring, while she was having unprotected affair with him, risking my life in the process. And God knows how many people she met on Tinder. She's still the same person, but now feeling vulnerable and remorseful because she got caught. When I visited her at her mom's house, wayward wife and I played with the kids for a bit until we decided that we needed to talk. One of her relatives took the girls outside to play in the garden while we talked. When we were alone, she reiterated that she was sorry, that she was remorseful for what she had done, and that she would do anything to try to work it out. I responded that I would have loved to reconcile with her, but I know that it would be a waste of time because she's no longer interested in the marriage. Her jaw dropped when I showed her the divorce paper to sign. She started crying, begging me not to do this to her, and that she had done everything that I asked of her. She said she would leave her business to remove any chance of association with the affair partner, and I know what that business meant to her. She said she would do that if that's what I wanted. She said she had found a marriage counselor for us to see together. She did it on her own initiative. She has spoken to a friend who had been through something similar. I told her that no amount of marriage counselor could clear up the amount of lies and neglect she did to our marriage for over 9 months. I reminded her that she told her affair partner that I was boring in bed and was basically begging her affair partner for intimacy while I was upstairs sleeping. She looked at me in the eyes and told me that she never said or did that. I responded to her that we have already been through this before, and I don't see how we could salvage this marriage. She pleaded for forgiveness, and I told her no. Then she said that because of the sake of the kids, I should allow her to at least stay in the house for the time being so we could plan this through, as not to disrupt the life of our kids, since she's responsible for their well-being 60% of the time, and she doesn't see how to balance it now. She said after a week, if things aren't working out, then she would sign the papers. She sounded rational, but I told her there is no working things out, and that I let her back into the house because of the kids. I told her that I would allow her to come home because of the sake of the kids. She would be sleeping downstairs in the guest bedroom. She thanked me and reiterated how sorry and remorseful she feels. We went home together with the kids in separate cars. After we ate, sorted the kids out for bed, and we sat in the living room together and began reading the books that she had bought. We spoke extensively that night. I informed her that despite all the humiliation she had put me through, I had no animosity towards her. We would try to be civil for the sake of the kids, but that I don't think I can go forward with this relationship any further. My wayward wife heard what I said, but I can see by her expression that she was hopeful of our relationship. She couldn't help being in tears, but I can't tell if they are genuine. I thought they were, but the lies over the past few weeks make it hard to be sure. I got up early in the morning the following day and went for a bike ride. Got back after an hour and the kids were up, and wayward wife was awake, and she had got them breakfast. This doesn't happen often, and I know it's going to be a guilty display of trying things, and it doesn't faze my resolve. I can't give her credit for doing something she's supposed to do in the first place. We sat on the dining table with my kids to eat breakfast. I look across and I still couldn't look at her for too long, and my mood kept changing from anger and resentment to humiliation and a feeling of being used. After breakfast, I took my children to school. The following morning, we went for a run together. She suggested that she join me that morning, and it felt tense. Normally, we would chat and I would encourage her, and it felt like we had done something together by the end. This time, I could barely speak to her. I stayed with her and stopped when she needed a break, but I felt like she was just there so she could be closer to me. That way she could convince me not to move forward with the divorce. So I felt like she was just there to manipulate me. While I was at work today, I was feeling low about the situation with my wife, and for some reason, I checked out her Instagram profile picture so I can look at her. She hasn't been very active since I confronted her, and the last picture she shared was this really pretty picture of her in the park. Snowy, cold day, and she's tucked into her red coat with her hood up, smiling and looking fantastic. The same coat that I bought her on her birthday. I commented on her Instagram comment section when she posted it. I commented that she looked so beautiful, and I am lucky to be her husband. The picture was taken maybe an hour after she had met the affair partner for excess, using our kids as the excuse to go to the park and having her friend Kate cover for her. It was taken the Friday before last. It's a picture that sums up the deceit so completely that I no longer look at it. It was still her profile picture and on her Instagram. When I came back home that night, we spoke some more. The more I speak to her, the angrier I get. At that moment, I was thinking that it might not have just been a wise idea to have her around, even if it was for the sake of the kids, because she arouses a lot of negative emotions when I see her, and I would never heal with her around. In all fairness, she was doing her very best to assuage and calm me down. She was curious why I was mad at her all of a sudden. Then I brought up the picture. We talked about the picture on Instagram, and now I was curious as to why she continuously told me that she was happy when she was still sleeping with men behind my back. She couldn't give me a good answer. I asked her if she was really happy or was she lying about being happy. She said she was happy, and the only reason she had an affair was for the thrill and the bad influence from her friend Kate. She apologized. I checked her Instagram again that night after we talked, and she deleted the picture that night. The following night, she made tea for both of us and some salad and chicken. We both sat at the dining table, our kids already in bed. I looked across on the dining table, and she looked more beautiful than ever. I know that I'm lusting for her because it's been a while since I've gone without intimacy. Although I hate her so much, I still tolerate her company. When I started getting the warm and fuzzy feeling, I would remind myself about who she really is. The person I heard on the voice-activated recording is who she really is. The beautiful woman in front of me is just a mirage. My mind kept telling me that I am living a lie, and the more she stays in the house with me, the more it becomes difficult to break away from her. I am trying to be patient, but every time she opens her mouth, all I feel she's telling me are lies. The following day, she's up by the time I finish my shower, and she has once again given the kids their breakfast. She goes shopping as she needs to get some items for her business and grab some lunch for both of us. She's at work today, so I get the kids ready and take them to school. Felt calmer this morning, but I still can't speak to her much. Lost nearly 10 pounds in the last few weeks. Sleeping is hard. I wake up regularly from nightmares. I don't really feel rested, and I am soaked with sweat every night. I am getting closer to 1 week, and I still feel like my marriage is lost, and no action on her part can put the divorce off. But I was still dragging my feet on the divorce since I was content with having her share parental responsibility, because I figure it would be easier if we were still living in the same roof. But I know that the sooner I divorce her, the faster I can start down my path of recovery. I am simply pushing back the date at which the divorce started. It means I can hold off paying my lawyer and having $1,500 retainer, more money in my pocket. I have made her aware that I am holding off this meeting, not canceling them entirely. I have already had a consultation and understand the process. The next meeting was just for practical points and setting up retainers and determining the specific approach. It's an extra step I wanted to take just prior to instructing them to begin. I took an STD test and it came out clean. I DNA tested my 3 kids and they were all mine. Cooking tea was for my sanity. Cooking makes me happy and I enjoy the process. It gives me something to focus on and helps let go of stress. I started cooking tea last night too, but I had to confront her about something she said to the affair partner about us never having X, and when we did, it was boring. I was furious and made it known how humiliating it was. She explained that it was not true and she was not sure why she had said it. I told her to think on and come to me with an explanation. It made me angry, so I told her to finish cooking tea. She said she doesn't know why she said it, and that the last time we were intimate, she loved it. I told her that's not an explanation, and I want her to tell me why she said it. She again said she didn't know, and I repeated that I wanted to know why she said it, and that it is something she needs to think long and hard about. The same applies to the photos. I need to know why, and being absent-minded does not cut it. She agreed and promised to work on it. My impression of the boring excess comment is that she was trying to justify the reason she was trying to arrange the hookup to herself, as well as ego stroke the affair partner. I don't want to put words in her mouth. I reiterated today that I am undecided on continuing our relationship and that the only way any rebuilding can begin is for her to make regular significant progress. Part of that is finding the answer to the questions I have. The thing with telling the kids was twofold. One, so that she could compose something and research how best to do it so I could review in case we need to use it. And secondly, to put her on notice that this is very real possibility to drive home the situation. If we use it, we will of course both be there to tell the kids and we would both be helping them through it. I wanted to be absolutely clear at my kids. Our primary focus and getting them through this with minimal disruptions is the only thing that I want to be certain of. The decision to not tell them was made by me so that we don't unnecessarily burden them. We are definitely not back to our normal routine, and I want to make absolutely clear that the only reason I'm trying to remain calm is that I do not like being angry, jealous, or unhappy. All I am doing at the moment is putting a safe boundary around me so that I can process and come to terms with the loss of the future I thought we had. Those plans are all ash right now. I need to restart thinking about my future, and whether she is part of that is very unlikely. I need to walk through my raw feelings before I can make any progress here. It's all clouded at the moment by negativity. I am just working through this with my kids and my own best interest. If Wayward wants to start to recover, she has a long road to travel, and I cannot help her figure out her own problems. I am not some cock who is ready to follow, shaken and obedient like an abused dog. I am not going to be hard on myself, as this is all out of my control. All I can do, as you can say, is to take care of the kids and myself. Cheating is definitely a deal breaker. It's very important for me to reiterate. So 1 week has come and went. We still live in the same house, but sleeping in different bedrooms. She has been on her best behavior, cooking dinner every day, and doing more chores than she normally would. It's been incredibly difficult for me having her here. I knew she was trying so hard to reconcile, and she had been going to therapy, but I know deep inside that the marriage is on its last leg. Last night, I was in bed asking God for a sign that I should end my marriage. I am an atheist, by the way. Then a voice in my head told me that cheating on me with a client, lying about the birth control pill, calling excess with me boring, and soliciting intimacy from strangers is a good enough sign as I can get. I am taking step to 180. I still go running, but I additionally joined a new gym that opened in the next town. I am still struggling to eat, but I am at least able to eat more than I was immediately post D-Day. I am drinking far less and eating healthier while still cooking. Sometimes it's easier, but I have an underlying feeling of sadness and humiliation, which, on occasion, would flare up into an anxiety or panic attack, and I am able to ground myself, though it takes a minute or so. Update. So Sunday was interesting. I have been going out a lot to avoid spending time with my wayward wife. One night, on a Sunday of all days, I went to a bar close to my house. I was having a drink with a not so close friend whose wife was close to Kate, and I told him all that Kate has done and how she pushed my wife to carry on an affair. After finishing my version of the story, I was thinking he would be shocked or surprised. Instead, he responded that his wife actually told him about the confrontation. I was surprised that Kate spoke to his wife about it, thinking that all the confrontation has now gone viral locally. He said that his wife told him that Kate admitted to physically assaulting my wife after my wife backstabbed her. I was confused and asked him what he meant by that. He continued that my wife apparently had an affair with Kate's boyfriend. I didn't expect that. I thought maybe Kate was spreading lies. But I was patient because my wife is a liar as well, and her own version didn't make sense. At this point, I was furious, and he could see it in my face. He thought I was mad at him. Instead of continuing, he stopped and told me nervously that he wasn't trying to disrespect me, but that was the story that Kate is putting out there, and he doesn't know if it's true or not. I was so shocked that I held my drink in my hand there, wondering what just hit me. Putting two and two together, I connected what might have happened at my wife's store that day. I figure my wife must have sent Kate a text message or spoken to her on the phone accusing her of exposing her affair to me, which Kate must have denied. Kate came to my wife's workplace to straighten things out. Upon arrival, it may not have gone as planned. Words were exchanged, and my wife was irritated enough to want to hurt Kate. So she reacted by telling Kate that she slept with Kate's boyfriend. Kate must have believed her because she then proceeded to physically assaulting her, causing them to get into a big fight. This version made more sense than what my wife told me. The burden is on me to confirm whether it was true or not. I was skeptical whether my wife slept with Kate's boyfriend because I didn't hear both my wife and Kate's boyfriend on the audio recording. I thought maybe that was what my wife told Kate just to get her angry. Maybe it wasn't true. My wife and Kate are no longer on speaking terms, thanks to me. I wanted to get to the bottom of this, and I know that I couldn't ask my wife about it because she will lie about it. The only way I could find out was through Kate. I haven't spoken to Kate in a while. I think the last time I spoke to her was when we were at the restaurant under the invitation of my wife's affair partner. I still have Kate's number, but I don't want to call her. I felt like I would get the truth if I spoke to her face to face. I was impatient. I wanted to speak to Kate on Monday morning, thinking that maybe she would reconcile with my wife, and then the truth would never come to light. I feel like I can get confirmation from Kate that my wife indeed slept with her boyfriend. Then I would stop dragging my foot on the divorce issue. I already have enough to get a favorable divorce settlement, and my lawyer is on standby. I drove to Kate's house that she shared with her boyfriend and parked outside their house before she came back from work. I was hoping to confront her when she came back from work. I wasn't sure how she would react when she saw me. While I was waiting on her street, her car pulled up the driveway, and I met her as soon as she got out of her car. She was surprised to see me and asked me what I was doing there. I told her that I heard about what happened between her and my wife, and I was there to ask her why her boyfriend slept with my wife. She responded that she no longer has a boyfriend, and they broke up after he confirmed what my wife told her. She added that she was sorry for not letting me know that my wife was cheating on me, and she regretted how everything turned out. I pressed her on how she wasn't able to know that her best friend was having an affair with her boyfriend, and she turned the question back at me that how didn't I know that my wife was cheating on me right under my nose for 9 months. She continued that in her case, she didn't notice because my wife had a physical affair twice with her boyfriend, and it wasn't a frequent thing. She said that it first happened when my wife spent a night in her house, and then another night, so it wasn't a frequent thing. I asked her how she knew, and she said that after my wayward wife revealed the news, she confronted her boyfriend and he confessed. She kicked him out after that, just to get back at her witty comment. I responded that the reason why I never found out was because she covered for my wife. I immediately turned around and headed back to my car. I have heard all I needed to hear. On my way back to my car, I could hear Kate loudly saying that she was sorry for the role she played in my wife's affair and that I didn't deserve that. I didn't turn back or acknowledge her. I was in a hurry to get back home and have my wife sign the divorce paper. When I arrived home, my wayward wife was making me dinner. My kids were there, As soon as I walked through the door, she asked me if I would like a plate. I didn't respond to her. I wanted my kids to go to bed first before I confront her. I headed straight to my room to look for the divorce papers. She knew something was wrong by the way I didn't respond to her, so she followed me into the bedroom and continued to ask me what was wrong. What did I do now? She got into the room and I shut the door behind her so my kids wouldn't hear us. I was so angry. I knew that I couldn't keep my voice down once I start talking. As soon as I shut the door, I asked her why she lied to me about the incident that happened between her and Kate at the shop. She started crying and acting dumb. I told her that Kate told me everything. As soon as I said that, she immediately held both hands on her head and sat on the bedroom floor, crying. She was crying so hard my kids could hear her. She was acting like a brat. I told her that we're getting a divorce and she should sign the paper. I didn't feel like staying home that night. I know that she was crying and acting like a brat because I was there. I didn't want her to continue to cry because of the sake of my kids. So I took my laptop and some of my clothes and left the house that night. I drove away to a hotel. When I was at the hotel, I updated this story and emailed my lawyer. The following day, I went to the house and saw my wayward wife. Looked like she's been crying all night. My kids were supposed to be in school and daycare, but they were still at home. I asked her why the kids weren't in school, and she said that she was feeling really depressed. I immediately got the kids ready and drove them to school. When I returned back home, my wayward wife was still in bed. I served her the divorce paper and told her to sign. I dropped it on the bed and walked away to work. I picked up my children up from school and daycare and returned them back home. My wife was still in bed on her phone when I got back. She started signing the paper as soon as she heard me coming through the door.